Anyways, Jeff Bagwell talked about sabermetrics. People he bashed analytics. People hate him. Deadspin is crushing Jeff Bagwell, saying that he's bashing the general manager that won the World Series, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Chandler Rome, who covers the Astros for the Houston Chronicle, he had a quote from Jeff Bagwell that I didn't see video of, audio of, from this little press conference he held where he was holding court for 15 minutes after the Abreu announcement. And I love this quote here, Blankers, and there's a couple of reasons why, but let me read you the quote first. This is from Chandler Rome's story today in the Chronicle. The main thing we want to do here is I don't want to hear windows. I want to hear every single year we have a chance to win. That's how we have to base our decisions. Short term, but the long term in the back of our minds, how are we going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 7 to 10 years? One of the things that I always look at, Blankers, is I want the Astros to have long-term sustained success. It's one of the reasons I didn't want Springer. It's one of the reasons I didn't want Cole. It's one of the reasons I didn't want Carlos Correa on a huge multi-year deal. I think signing players to multi-year deals into their 30s, I'm talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year deals.
You don't want handcuff deals that really have no ROI on the back half.
That, and because I also think that they have long-term ramifications for an organization, money, resources, development spent, minor league system, that sort of thing. That Jeff Bagwell, who's I don't think he's anti-analytics. I think he was taking a little bit out of context here. He said they went too far in analytics. I don't think he's anti-analytics. That you have Bagwell, who's the boss of the Astros, that obviously has Crane's ear, talking about the 3-year, the 5-year, the 7 to 10-year, not talking about the windows. The Astros aren't putting all their chips in the center of the table. They're not going all in. It's not this, we're in this current window, we're going to win it all right now. It's, we want to win it all right now, but we also want to have long-term success for the history of this organization. I look at Jim Crane. He wants to be a dynasty. They are a dynasty. 2 World Series titles. They're hoping for more. I think he aspires for more than that, though. I think he wants to be the model franchise in baseball. He wants to be what the Yankees were, where the Yankees went to the playoffs 24 of 28 years. He's cool with the 2 World Series in 6 years. He obviously wants more, but I think Jim Crane wants to be a team that's in the playoffs every single year for 3 decades.
I agree, but that's a hell of a lot more challenging than just saying it to the media, too. Because
but it's also the philosophy and the goal.
Right, no, but I love the fact that that's the goal, because that wasn't the goal with Uncle Drayton.
No.
That at all, okay? So night meet day. I mean, as a fan, you love to hear it, but you also realize, especially if Bagwell's saying it, hey, maybe that's another reason why he doesn't want to be the number one front guy for the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe even this entire season, because he realizes that's a lot of responsibility that comes with that quote too, because you're the guy with the keys that's gonna have to execute it. And that's going to take some really deep dives on analytics, on cap, on all these different things, on the contracts, because I love it in theory, and I want it to be the case, because I completely agree with you. I think Crane looks at this and says, look, we got off to a rocky start because of what happened in 17. But now people are more and more coming around to our side that says this 6-year run that doesn't have to stop anytime soon could establish us, when you look at the history of baseball and how many teams have been able to do something like this, as one of the greatest franchises of all time. And that's something that has a ring to it that he likes an awful lot. Mm-hmm. It's just that with that, too, comes the fact that he's got to make the savvy decisions. He's got to make the tough decisions. And that's a challenge on a daily basis.
And what the Astros have done the reason that I love this quote so much is because, Bagwell's thinking long-term. Bagwell, obviously, he and Crane synonymous. I think right now Bagwell's the boss of the Houston Astros, is that everything that they've done recently, people think that Crane's going all in, that Crane's trying to win while the iron's hot, that the window, he feels like he needs to win while this window is still open, because Altuve's up in 2 years, Bregman's up in 2 years, Tucker's up in 3 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would point to the 2017 team. How many players from 2017 are still here? But I like the big picture aspect of it, where if you look at the big picture, everything that Crane has done also adds up to, I think, the big picture. Did he overspend in terms of AAV on Rafael Montero? Sure, you can make that case. 0 long-term ramifications, though. Jose Abreu, did he give that extra 3rd year? Does that make you a little bit uneasy? Sure. Multiple other teams were willing to do that, but that 3rd year can make you feel a little bit uneasy. But 0 long-term ramifications. The one move that Crane has made since the end of the World Series that is big picture is the GM spot. It is James Click. He didn't want James Click to be the captain of the ship long-term in this organization, and he wants to go out there. Look, he's taking his time. He says he wants to hire one before spring training. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. But they are thinking big picture as well. Short-term signings with Abreu on Montero, sure, because they want to be really good right now. but they still want to be really good long-term as well.
He didn't want a coupon clipper, and he thought that that's what James Click was he was going to be cutting coupons to be the Rays in Cleveland and trying to say, hey, we're a winning franchise because we keep winning the division. We keep getting to the playoffs, and saying that was good enough. Because to him, getting a taste of this and then on this run that they've been on since he's got in between his 2 World Series rings, he's liked it so much that he doesn't want it to end. And the only way to do that is to not be a coupon clipper, but you got to be savvy enough, intelligent enough, and research it enough to be able to say, this is one I'm going to pass on, like the guys they passed on in the past, but also the ones they're going to be aggressive on. I also think that in part, Abreu and that 3rd year, as much as we both highlighted and agreed that it wasn't that big of a reach because it's only a 3-year deal, I also think that he wanted that 3-year deal to come about synonymous with when he signs Tucker to the extension, so that when Abreu's money starts going away and his career and his skills diminish, that's when he takes that money and allocates it towards making sure he keeps Kyle Tucker.
Books. I would bet that they don't re-sign Kyle Tucker as like a
You're saying it's going to fall right in line with Springer, Correa,
I think,
type deals?
I believe that. I don't think Tucker's going to sign an extension with the Astros. Just my guess, and it's not reporting.
But they'll take it to the bitter end. They'll go to arbitration. They'll do what they need to do to keep him around.
Which this will be his first year of arbitration, so he's still got 3 years of club control. So he's still going to be an Astro for the next few years. I think he's going to price himself out of the Astros market. Now, if Crane wants to make splashes and he wants a dynasty, they already are a dynasty. I think he wants bigger than dynasty. Mm-hmm. He wants 20 playoff appearances
in the history
in 22
of
years.
baseball type recognition.
Yep. So if Crane wants all of that, do you think he's willing to spend more than we've seen previously? Up to the competitive balance tax, once every blue moon, he'll go above the CBT?
I think he is. And I think that because of the fact that there's always I think Click was the governor. I think he had the governors on to the state. No matter how much Crane probably wanted to do, Click was the voice of reason governing it all and being able to say, hey, slow down. Don't go that fast. Don't put the pedal all the way down all the time and trying to coach him into his way of thinking. Mm-hmm. So I think now with Click out of the picture, I think Crane definitely is the guy that is going to be able to say, hey, you better see whoever the next general manager candidates are. You better be able to see it my way. You better be able to understand what my ultimate goals are and what my yearly goals are and my 3 to 5 year goals are. And if we're not on the same page, I'm not doing this again. You're not going to be the right guy for the job.
I think the answer to this is yes and no, because I don't think that you have to go over the CBT to be this organization that wins year in, year out. I really don't. I think you have to be shrewd and smart about it. I think that Crane's going to spend relative to the CBT what he's always been willing to spend when the Astros are a contender, or he's willing to go up to the CBT. Now, by default, because the CBT raises every year, it escalates up. So he's going to spend more based on dollar figure, but in terms of percentage of the CBT that he uses, I think Crane's always going to be right at the CBT. I really don't think he's going to be an owner that consistently goes over it.
I think as long as he's fighting for a chance to win the World Series, he is going to be a guy that will understand and probably more times than not go over it now, because he sees the other teams that are in that same boat, that same category, and he sees them doing it every year. And he can't do it every year, but as long as they have a chance to win a World Series and not just win the West and be a team that has a fighter's chance to win a round or two, that's when he'll say, instead of tiptoeing it, as long as we're still a favorite to win it, then I'm willing to go over it.
I think he's willing to go over it, and like you said, not year in, year out. But I think year in, year out, he's going to be right at that tax, right at it.
Yeah, he'll push it right up too, but I think he'll cross it for the next 3 years as long as they have a chance to win the World Series. The next 3 seasons, especially with a Click type out of it, I think he definitely for the next 3 years is going to be in full go for it mode.
I think I would take the bet though. I would say the next 3 years he won't go over it every year.
He's definitely going over it this year.
You think?
I think he is.
He's still got $40 million to spend.
He's still got plenty of time on the calendar too, depending on what they need now and what they need before.
If no Verlander, though, I don't know how they go above 40. Because you get Contreras at 20, Brantley at 15.
I'd like to see him try and find out.
Let's see if we can puzzle piece our way to $40 more million for the Astros. 713-780-ESPN.